All right, I'm saying all right is like I don't know, like a Hampton Inn. I say it's better than all right.
Jarrett gets a little political when we talk about the monarchy. Hello, welcome to Area Nerdy One. I am Jimmy.
And apparently the only true rebel here, Jarrett.
Yeah,
I said a black and tan would have been good tonight.
maybe. Okay, we're gonna try not to be super political.
I mean,
But how can you not be?
we're talking about, as you see from the title, we are gonna bring up a little bit of the monarchy because unfortunately Queen Elizabeth did die.
Yes.
Yes,
Let's talk about
Something a little lighter
something.
subject.
Let's talk about the main thing that we said we were going to talk about all this month: Rings of Power versus Game of Thrones.
Wait, this wasn't Monarchy Month, where we're just going to talk endlessly about the British monarchy?
I mean, it is all about monarchy. It's Lord of the Rings. It's the Game of Thrones. It's the British monarchy losing its head of state.
Wouldn't you say that Game of Thrones is more of a monarchy thing than a Lord of the Rings? Because most of the time we spend time with hobbits.
What about Return of the King, Jarrett? There's a whole ass
Yeah,
movie
but
named after it.
Aragorn is like at best a secondary character in that.
That's true. Okay, maybe he's not the. He's in the title though. He's like center stage on the poster.
He is center stage on the poster, but that's because it's Viggo Mortensen. Imagine if
who goes? Did you go see Return of the King? Like, oh yeah, I want to see Samwise Gamgee. Like, no, you went to see everyone's biggest man crush.
First of all, you needed to
I guess that
lose it
wasn't-
up on Samwise Gamgee. He saved all of Middle Earth.
I guess, yeah. I would die. at a kill
Aragorn
for
could have
Samwise
died on
Gamgee.
Pelennor Fields. Who would give a shit? Samwise Gamgee dies.
Oh,
It's over.
Could you imagine?
Oh,
Imagine if they. You remember like when shows started like do the Game of Thrones trend where they would just
Yeah.
kill off people for no reason. Imagine if they Game of Thrones Samwise Gamgee and or Aragorn.
no. Samwise tackles Smeagol into the lava, keeping the one, or he falls into the lava with the One Ring.
I'm imagining it. It's just I wouldn't be able to recover from that.
Exactly.
I
Aragorn dies. That's sad.
I would be inconsolable to this day.
Samwise Gamgee dying is
Samwise
The
Gamgee
worst.
dying to save his friend and save the world.
it saved the world. Not only getting the ring twice, but choosing to die instead.
And then like Frodo's just left up there alone on the ledge being like, "Oh my god, I couldn't do it, but my friend could like I succumbed to the ring, but my friend saved us all."
He literally carried that entire movie to the end.
Okay.
Anyway,
Oh
so,
god, I can't think about it.
so what we have here is a broken sword.
Yeah, so
Yes.
let's talk about this. So
Ugh.
we've seen the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power. The new one's coming out this weekend.
Mhm.
So the broken sword is speculation is rife. So that's one thing
Yes.
that's really cool with this series.
I have a theory, but you can go ahead first.
Well, I was saying like, okay, I hate that it's on Amazon. All right, so we actually watched it since last week,
Yeah.
and my consensus is I don't hate the show. I hate that it's on Amazon. I'm not going to be the only Lord of the Rings fan that's boycotting it though.
Yeah, I'm watching it because I genuinely do love Lord of the Rings, and I'm always eager for a good show, but Amazon is Amazon.
Yeah, so
I thought we weren't supposed to get political until, like, the monarchy stuff.
how can you not get political about the monarchy? All right, well, let's
That's
talk
fair.
about the show itself then, because
Yes.
that's what we're
So-
interested in. Yeah,
We have this sword here. A young man, what is it?
I forget. It's the teenage son.
Teenage son. He finds this broken blade, and it's got this power, kind of like, not really like the One Ring, but it has some kind of dark essence inside of it.
Yeah, this kid, by the way, gives me vibes of like if he was modern day, he'd be a kid that listens to too much Andrew Tate.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is like his village is very poor and it's basically been occupied by the elves for 100 years.
Right.
So, yeah, I would grow up a little jaded too.
And like what we get from this is that like he's talking about, oh, the bloodline was strong with Morgoth,
Yeah.
which basically means that like the people that live there are descendants from people who had sided with the Dark Lord.
Dark Lord.
Yeah.
The OG Dark Lord.
So it almost is like the elves are occupying like it's not an invading force, like a hostile force invading their world. Yeah.
What's also interesting is they really lean into the whole thing. Like, elves' perception of time is completely different.
Yeah.
Like, for these people, they're like, yeah, it was 100 years ago. There's nobody here that alive that was part of this. And the elves are like, no, it's like yesterday.
Yeah, and like when Elrond meets Durin, Spoiler alert, by the way, for all
Yeah,
the people.
major spoilers, for
spoilers
everything.
from here on out. Major spoilers. But,
Yeah.
when Elrond goes to visit Durin, he's like, "Oh, has it only been 20 years?" And the dwarf is like, "Yeah, it's been 20 years.
Yeah, I've
that's
had
a
a-
long time." He's like, "I've lived a lifetime." And he's like, "I know that to elves that doesn't mean 20 years is nothing, but
Yeah. That usually, like, in the beginnings of the show, I really don't give a shit about, like, a lot of, like, emotional stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the acting and how they did this was really, really well done.
yeah,
Like, it was really, like, you could tell that he wanted to forgive Elrond and just move on, but you can't.
yeah,
Because
that's a big deal."
Yeah, because even though that they're different species, you can't just, like, forget about people like that.
Right.
Fun fact: the actor that plays Elrond, does he look familiar at all to you?
I don't know, Jared. Well, let's see here. The actor who plays Elrond, Robert Aramayo. Does he look a little bit like? Oh, I don't know. We'll say it on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Sean
No,
Bean. Oh,
yeah. Okay.
whoops. Which is interesting.
It's young Sean Bean.
It's Sean Bean. He looks so young.
It's Robert Aramayo. If you guys remember, played
Yes.
young Ned Stark, in the flashback of the Tower of Joy.
Which
scene.
is interesting because Ned Stark, played by Sean
Bean.
Bean, is also Boromir in Lord of the Rings.
Of course, like at this point, are we at all? I'm not at all surprised when I see someone who's either definitely not Game of Thrones, but like because like every British actor in existence was in Game of Thrones at some point.
Yeah. They have a good actor.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised at all that there's a ton of crossover.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of casting, I got a question, Jared. How'd they get Abraham Lincoln to play the High King of the Elves?
Oh, yeah. So historically, it actually works out because Abraham Lincoln wasn't around in the White House during the time of Lord of the Rings.
Right.
So that's when he went over, when he had time between, emancipation and then killing some vampires.
So for those of you guys who maybe haven't seen this movie, Benjamin Walker, who plays the High King of the Elves, is in fact also in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
One of your favorite movies.
One of my favorite, like, best worst movies ever. And like Benjamin Walker, he's been in a smattering of other things. I think he does a lot more stage performances these days.
Yeah. We see it a lot with Game of Thrones, and even now with Rings of Power, is that they're getting a lot of good stage actors to really convey that, like, more of especially for the elves, you want more stoic.
Yeah. So but
emotion,
and
I
plus,
like it.
plus he's like 6'5", so it
Yeah,
works.
you got to have a moth on your face.
Oh, that is jeez.
Just flew right onto you, like the Indiana Jones movie where the guy just like subtly eats a fly.
or like with what do you call it? Gandalf grabs the moth, whispers like, "Hey, tell."
We don't need a giant condor just bursting through Area 91 compound here.
So,
just real, yes.
Benjamin Walker, fun fact, also played Andrew Jackson in Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, which is like a punk rock musical about Andrew Jackson, about 10 years before Hamilton even was conceived. So
this is a precursor to Hamilton.
it was
punk
like
rock too.
Yeah, I think it was like it was definitely not on Broadway, but it was, this was like one of my favorite shows because it's like so obscure and it so doesn't shy away from the fact that Andrew Jackson was a total dickhead.
Okay, good.
This is a very political podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do. If you guys like political stuff from us, let us know, and we will try to ignore it, like all politics.
I will sing the Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson soundtrack though, because populism, is a total bop.
Anyway, the broken sword.
Okay, let's go back to that. Yeah.
Yes. So I have a theory.
Okay.
Are you ready for this? So we in the show we do see that there is a bit of a connection between this young boy and this broken sword through Sauron.
Well, okay, so they say like, okay, yeah, because they say that the blood, Morgoth flows through their blood.
Yeah,
or
so
something like to
which
that
is
effect.
kind of weird because obviously from real world mythology that Tolkien drew from, gods spawned with humans.
Isn't real world mythology a bit of an oxymoron? Anyway.
Fair enough. I thought we were getting political. So that's just that's not part of the theory. I'm just saying that. So I'm saying this. One thing that they did bring up in this little bit of the show is that this region does not have a king.
Aha.
Distinctly.
Yeah. The Southlands. That's Gondor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I think this this young man is going to turn to the dark side. He's going to become a Nazgul.
Aha.
Become the king of that region and be gifted a ring of power.
And eventually become the Witch King of Angmar.
I don't think he would become the Witch King of Angmar, but just like a Nazgul.
Okay, I see.
But we are even like as far as the Lord of the Rings timeline, we're still way ahead of like,
it's like
even the
thousands of years.
Yeah, thousands of years, even before like the Rings of Power are even constructed.
Yeah. But it looks like are they hinting? No, wait, they're not hinting at it. So Celebrimbor, which you guys may, you saw him. I don't remember the actor that plays him. Celebrimbor is the the blacksmith of the elves, and he's the one who forges the Rings of Power with Sauron. Spoiler alert.
Yes,
but
there's a lot of stuff that happens between that.
Yeah, so like he hasn't even he's building the forge in which he might eventually make the Rings of Power.
Yeah.
So this is like first.
Like
draft.
he says that he's going to start like trying to make like a weapon.
Yeah,
but he doesn't know what it's gonna be yet.
Yeah, but
so,
we do.
We do. So Sauron, the thing I'm really looking forward to is Sauron in Numenor.
Yes. So yeah, the Numenorians are, again, for those of you who don't know, I gotta put this thing on silent. So
if that's our sister, I swear to God.
It's no, it's party stuff. So anyway, but so Numenor was like this, it's sort of like Rome in their world. It's like this ancient civilization that was like greater than any other, and it's from which Aragorn has descended, and they are like very long-lived, very powerful humans.
Yes.
So you think that you're looking forward to seeing that come along?
I'm seeing that, and then like their civil war when Sauron comes down.
Right.
But we haven't seen Sauron yet, but we have seen somebody come out of the sky.
Okay. Yeah. So this guy, which people are calling the Stranger or Comet Man.
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man.
Not too many chords of that.
Okay. Oh no, we have to pay. Sorry, Sir Elton John. So so he fell from the sky in a flaming ball of fire. A lot of speculation as to what he is, but like I'm like 85% sure that, spoiler, it is Gandalf.
So, you stupid whore. You stupid boy.
This does not fit the crime.
Stupid boy. So, first when he came down to the ground, it was in like a ring shape, like an eye. So that right there, they're trying to get you off the trail. They're trying to make you think that this is Sauron.
Right, and then the same thing where people have pointed out, like in the Ice Fortress, they're like, the fire doesn't give off any heat, and she's like, it's so evil. And then like when the Hobbit girl fell into the hole and was like, oh, the fire's not hot. Like, oh, it's the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
So they're trying to red herring it, but it's pretty obviously Gandalf.
Yeah. Not really.
Okay.
Because first of all, the fire thing.
Yeah.
And secondly, in the canonical story of the writing of J.R.R. Tolkien, first and foremost, Amazon does not have the rights to everything.
Right.
They have the basic story arc, but certain stories and certain plot points, they do not have the whole like copyright to.
Right.
So it might be Gandalf. But be in the story of Lord of the Rings. I keep wanting to say Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Gandalf is actually not in Middle Earth yet.
Okay.
He comes down a little bit before or a little bit after Sauron does.
Right.
Okay. Starts after he's like Sauron's actually going out.
It's like resurging.
Yeah, it's resurging. That's when he and like the four other wizards like Radagast, Sauron, and the Blue Twins come down.
Could it be Saruman?
I don't think so. I have another theory.
Wait, let's hear it. Hit us with it.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready? Are you gonna be able to pick up what I'm throwing down?
Hold on, I might need another drink just to.
I think this is one of the fallen Maiar getting forced out of heaven again. This is one of the forms of a Balrog. Balrog are just Maiar, and they are shapeshifters by nature.
Right.
The Balrog we see in Moria is just the shape that they generally took for like the war. That's the one the shape it took when it was fighting the War of Wrath.
Right.
I think this is just another fallen Maiar.
Okay.
So I don't think it's Gandalf yet.
You think it might be an original character?
It might be an original character.
Okay.
Something I'm not upset about, to see another Maiar, and then he starts to like and get along with hobbits and the people of Middle Earth, and then he comes across Sauron, and Sauron's like, oh, okay, you're on my team, right? You're an evil dude. And it's like, No, I didn't even like killing the fireflies.
Do I dare suggest it? Is it possibly Tom Bombadil?
Matthew Berry has to be Tom Bombadil. And no, Tom Bombadil just has to be in, like, no story arc, nothing. Just there.
What the hell are you doing in my forest, you hobbits?
Hobbit, get out of that tree!
Hey there, you tree son of a bitch. Let them go.
You're barking up the wrong dick now, boy! You hobbity bastards, long-feeted weirdos.
You there, old man tree. Unhand those hobbits.
Unhand them!
Okay, we really milked that one. Okay.
Oh, yeah. But I don't think it's Tom Bombadil. Tom Bombadil is just... Who knows?
Not even Tolkien knew.
Not even Tolkien knew.
I think that, honestly, Tom Bombadil, like came to Tolkien one night and, like, took over his body and wrote himself into that. I think that he might be a real trickster god, yeah.
Well, while I was rereading or re-listening to Lord of the Rings, the first one is just super, like, even more hobbity than The Hobbit.
Yeah.
So I think Tom Bombadil was just their way of saying, oh, this is gonna be a light show.
Yeah.
But then he had like the Barrow White scene, which is weird.
I think that I'm not 100% sure on this. I think that I read somewhere that when he was writing the first half of Lord of the Rings, or at least the Fellowship, he was kind of going more towards more of a kid's book, like the way the Hobbit was.
Yeah.
And then right about that time, like when he got done writing Tom Bombadil, he was like, okay, it's got to actually be more of a
but
darker fantasy.
He kept Tom Bombadil in there.
But rather than go back and rewrite the entire first half of the story, for sure.
Should I take out Tom Bombadil? No, he's integral to the story. Never shows up again.
Cornerstone.
Yeah, but I don't think that's Gandalf.
Okay.
Also, I don't know why Gandalf would be the first one there. What it would if it was one of the Maiar, it would be Sauron.
I think that I get the idea that, like, when it comes to Maiar, he's kind of like the mischievous younger brother of the wizards
until he gets murked and then comes back.
And then comes back, yeah.
Better than ever.
So let's talk a little bit about Durin and Diza, because they're the internet's favorite power couple right now. My favorite power couple, I have to say.
I found their relationship very endearing. Yeah. Also, all of Moria, beautiful.
Yeah.
Really well done.
It's not Moria yet. It's Khazad-dûm.
Khazad-dûm. Well, I think people on the internet were like, "Oh, why are we seeing it like this? Like, why is that?" Like, I think the point is, like, it's awesome. Like, just building up how beautiful it is and everything, and just what it's going to become.
Right now, it's still very, like, you can see, like, where the original cave was. By the time of Lord of the Rings, we see it. It's basically the entire mountain is the city.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's been expanded upon. Like, I think of this Khazad-dûm at this point is New Amsterdam. And then by the time we got to Moria, it would be like New York City abandoned.
Right.
Like New York City, like Manhattan, Queens, everything. It's so big.
Right. And then like the idea I get from, like, Durin, like when we see the dwarves in especially the Hobbit, they are monarchs. Like the king is like a god emperor almost.
Yeah.
But like in this, like seeing Durin and his father,
they're more like clans.
Yeah, they're more like a chieftain than a like a straight up king at this point.
One thing I always got, so I do like Lord of the Rings, but one of the things that drives me up the goddamn wall about Tolkien's writing is it's so vague about, like, how many dwarves there are, where they are, like, are they very spread out. So as far as the story is concerned, like at Lord of the Rings, Khazad-dûm is the, like, center of, like, dwarven culture. So this is the fulcrum of where the dwarves come from. Like the Lonely Mountain stems out from Khazad-dûm.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to get really, really technical with it, they're like spiritual center, I guess, would be where, the Durin the Deathless awoke was where, what's the name of it? It's Mount Gundabad, which was almost immediately occupied by orcs.
Not Carrick Eight Peaks.
What was it?
Carrick Eight Peaks. That's from Warhammer.
Yeah, no. Quit mixing the genres.
That would be for copyright reasons. That is actually the Dowie.
Yeah,
the dwarves or stunties.
Okay, so I got a question for you though, yes. Jarrett. This is fan theory time. What's in the box?
Oh, it's It's Jefferson's soul, obviously.
What appears it's either plutonium or what I'm assuming is a human soul.
So what I'm thinking it is personally, it's kind of like the Arkenstone. Like every mountain kind of has one.
Yeah, the
So
heart of the mountain.
Heart of the mountain. So I think this is kind of like their like stone.
Right.
But I think this is what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
The jewels used for the rings of power are coming. We're seeing where these jewels are coming from. That like the jewel for like the one of the dwarves' rings is gonna be this rock.
Right.
And then going forward.
Well, I immediately first thought was, first of all, oh, the Arkenstone. I was like, oh wait, that's in the Hobbit. Secondly, I thought, so in that, also in the Hobbit, we see, I don't know if they're actually like gonna really draw from Peter Jackson, but in the Hobbit we see the whole conflict between the dwarves and the elves of Erebor, dwarves of Erebor and the elves. The elves, Thranduil wants the necklace of basically starlight.
Yeah.
They're like special gems made from starlight, and that's like a huge deal for them. It's like their ancestral jewels. I think that maybe this might be that, because you see the king is kind of like, being a little sneaky snack about it, and it's like, he's kind of like plotting about the elves and like talking about that.
Well, I also think too is that this is a very interesting point in the history of Lord of the Rings, because at this point there is no bad guy. There's orcs kind of, but even the
orcs
elves
haven't been spotted for years. At this point. Yeah.
Gondor is almost at its height. The dwarves are expanding and the elves are rebuilding. So what we're seeing here is the power struggle between the races. Elves want to keep their themselves on top and become the cultural and everything center of the world. Dwarves don't like the elves because they're so much different, and they don't like being underneath. And men are just like, half of them are being occupied by the elves and they're always being pushed aside.
Yeah.
And they're the buffer state. Gondor especially is the buffer state between Mordor, which they have to occupy, and everything else. So that's what I think we're going to be seeing.
Yeah. Okay. We're moving on. So I don't know if you remember this part. The worm, the sea monster. This thing triggered my thalassophobia so badly, though.
Oh.
Like, I don't know what it's about, or if we'll see it again, or if it means anything, but like, just thalassophobia being the fear of deep, dark water you can't see the bottom of.
I'm not afraid of the water. I'm afraid of the things in the water.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't even swim in like ponds that I know nothing's in. I can't do it.
God forbid you touch something slimy.
No, thank you.
So this is gonna be tough. So Tolkien again isn't big on explaining shit.
Yeah.
The Watcher in the Water is a massive mystery, just a big old question mark.
Yeah.
And that's just in Lord of the Rings. For anybody that doesn't know, when the Fellowship of the Rings go to Moria, they're attacked by a big squid creature.
It's more in the movie they make it a squid creature,
But it's more like a massive giant arms and hands.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
it's like there's a few illustrations you can find on Google. I didn't get any because I didn't really talk about it, but
Yeah.
it's I like to say that Tolkien's a lot, like I'm reading these books, there's a lot of cosmic horror. There's a lot of almost Lovecraftian elements into it, which I don't think that I found no indication that he was either inspired by or even knew about Lovecraft. They were contemporaries, but I don't think the elements are still there.
Yeah.
So things like the Watcher in the Water, they talk about things gnawing at the roots of mountains that even Sauron doesn't know about.
Yeah, but distinctively, the Watcher of the Water is ancient even compared to like the world before the Maiar and the Iluvatar.
Yeah.
Like that was already there, and even Gandalf, who's like a repository of a lot of knowledge, has no idea what it is, where it came from, or what it's doing there.
Yeah, and
I think the worm is the same thing. This is just an age of just these massive, odd things just coming out from under the world after gnawing at the roots of the world.
And what was it? Shelob. So in the movies, she's a giant spider. In the books, she's more of like a strange eldritch creature that resembles a spider.
More like a really deranged centipede.
Yeah. And like if you like, again, you can find illustrations of her. It's pretty unsettling. And she is like the descendant of Ungoliant, which is a again, like it's a giant spider, like primordial spider that turned against Morgoth, basically.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I think I might be remembering this wrong. Iluvatar didn't make her. Like, he made the world. He's the god creator.
Yeah.
He didn't make her. She was just kind of existed.
Yeah, they hint that there are things like Ungoliant and the Watcher in the Water that existed before the universe existed.
Yeah.
So it very much is eldritch in
But
nature.
in in Lord of the Rings also there are these two trees, like lights of the world.
Yeah.
Basically, they're absolutely massive. They're just like
yeah, we see it in the first episode,
Yeah.
like the giant tree. Yeah.
Ungoliant eats one of them.
Yeah.
Just eats it. And she, like, Morgoth is like the big bad. So big and bad, they couldn't actually destroy him. They had to throw him down a bottomless pit where he's just kind of there. And Ungoliant almost ate him too, and he was, like, scared.
Yeah, the Balrogs had to come save him, basically.
Yeah. They had to save the devil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the cosmic horror spider.
Yeah. So there are things out there like that. I think the worm is kind of like that as well. That's also something I like about the show is that they're not spoon feeding us anything. They're just expanding the world in a natural way.
I think that they kind of knew, like, okay, there's a lot of gaps here, but they are turning the bug into a feature in that, like, all we've been doing as fans is arguing and speculating.
Yeah.
Like, it leaves so much room for interpretation and so much speculation that it draws you in. So, I gotta say, I was expecting this to be like a total flop, but it's not turning out to be one.
It's not. I wouldn't even, like, the reviews, like when we first went over this is like it's average, it's okay. No, I like it. It's good.
Yeah,
which it's frustrating because it's on Amazon.
I know it's frustrating. Oh, I hate having to give a good review for something from Amazon, but
Yeah.
okay. So, but we were talking about Lovecraftian, like how a lot of Tolkien's work has Lovecraftian tones to it. I want to talk about.
You got this too?
Yeah, the Digger Orc. So, a couple of reasons. So I got very
Lurking
fear vibes from this, like the tunnels, like the clawed hands, the coming out from the floor,
and of course the village that was just depleted. There's no one there. You know, I really like that too. I'm glad you picked up on that.
Plus, like when it emerges in their house, very horror movie inspired. The practical effects are terrifying and unsettling. I
really like that you can be like, yeah, that's a mole.
Yeah,
that's like a mole person. I get that. That's interesting. I think they're doing. That's what I wanted to see. I didn't want to see just orcs. I wanted to see orcs.
Right.
A lot of them, like different kinds. That's what I came here for.
Yeah. And so the other thing is we see in this, like, he emerges and the mother and the son are trying to subdue him, and he is like giving them the business.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we really I think honestly the first time we really see orcs, like how tough they are and like how much of a problem they are, because he's like really strong and they like stab him several times and he's not going down. Like every other time we see orcs in the movies, like
kind of get
Aragorn hits it with a sword and it's dead.
Yeah. So I think like that's what the danger of the orcs is that when they get into vulnerable populations, they're pretty much unstoppable.
Right.
You know,
they're like early Vikings. Like the military, sure, they can take care of them, but you go into an unarmed village, there's nothing that can be done.
Yeah. The main strength of the orcs is that they just have massive amount of numbers. You can't put enough armies in the field to just be able to be there everywhere at once. Yeah, orcs are terrifying.
Yeah.
More terrifying than they were now.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see more like different kind of orcs too.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot. We thought that like they may be desert orcs or something,
or like at least different tribes of orcs.
Yeah, and so this is going to be interesting. Also, the practical effects, the prosthetics, spot on, and you can definitely tell when they were like that scene, like the camera work, they kind of looks like kind of sped up the movements a little bit.
Yeah,
definitely has a very horror movie feel to it.
Yeah. I would like to see is orcs that are like worshiping Sauron coming up against like old school Morgoth orcs. Like, we're not following Sauron. He's a chump. He's a lieutenant.
Yeah, he's not the big bad. But then of course, eventually he gains the Ring of Power and becomes just as powerful, I think, as Morgoth. So one of the things that people are like, who's more powerful, Morgoth or Sauron? I've seen it. The argument is basically Morgoth put a huge amount of power into his armies, and they were destroyed. Whereas Sauron put a huge amount of power into the ring, which just made him more powerful.
So I also was thinking about this too. Is like, so what happened was he poured so much of himself into the ring. Now that he's wearing it, because like magical people wearing the ring of power makes them stronger.
Yeah.
So basically made him absolutely massive amount of power.
Yeah.
That when he made the ring and was wearing it. So when it got cut off, that's when it happened.
Right. Exactly.
But I can't wait. Oh, it's really good. Really expanding on the lore really well.
All right. So we're about halfway through. About now is when we would switch gears. So still having issues with Game of Thrones. Not that I don't want to watch it. It's just that, like I say, this is going to be something that my wife and I watch. So we've been trying to block out some time. So I've been trying to keep up with it without getting any major spoilers. I know like vaguely what's going on. But I think that we're gonna, as you know, something really big happened in the news recently. So we're going to be talking about the one true queen. Wait.
Yes, of course.
Oh, wait.
I mean, she is
Wrong
the queen.
Wrong
of
image.
course. I mean, what?
I'm talking about, yes, that queen, Queen Elizabeth II. So as we all know, Queen Elizabeth II just passed away. Now I'm not going to get political because the monarchy means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. All I can say is that my wife and I have watched The Crown and we are into the drama, basically. Don't love The Crown. Basically, The Crown is such a good show, and like their lives are such good shows because, like Game of Thrones, you don't 100% like anyone.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Margaret, because she was like the most normal royal in that show, and she just shows that like she's the most sensible and like does all this charity work and stuff. The Queen of England, she just died. It's no matter how you slice it, it's a big deal. It's a paradigm. It shifts the cultural consciousness. For our own edification, I've got the line of succession up here. So next it's going to be King Charles, who is really into climate, fighting climate change. So he's got my, not that I'm.
You couldn't torture me into giving a shit. So first of all, I'm just gonna throw this out there.
I didn't vote for you.
I didn't vote for him. So first of all, people that have an issue with that are bringing up a lot of issues with this whole, the monarchy and everything, the people like you are like saying, well, they don't have any real power, but we'll spend an exorbitant amount of time of how this is a massive shift. Who gives a shit?
It's soft power.
It's soft power.
Plus they technically do have power. So in Parliament.
Yes.
Their Congress that makes the laws.
Yeah,
except they yell at each other so much. I love it.
It's amazing. You ever see when Ukrainian Parliament ends up fighting or something? It's amazing.
Yeah. So
it's like a Renaissance painting.
So basically, if you look at if you watch images or videos of their Parliament, you'll see there's a giant ass gold scepter on a desk in the middle of the proceedings, right?
Yep.
So that is the queen. Well, now the king's scepter. So basically, that's the symbol of the king the monarchy giving Parliament authority to make laws. So technically, according to their constitution, they could walk in anytime they wanted, take that, and dissolve the Parliament.
Yep. So they can also do that in Australia as well.
Yeah. So
for a week.
It's one of those things where no sensible monarch would ever do that, and the question is would that have any actual ramifications? Is up for grabs, but
well, as Lex Luthor once said, if you have a silver bullet, you don't have to rely on the kindness of monsters. Maybe somebody shouldn't have that kind of power.
That's the thing. That's the question now.
Yeah.
All right. But you want? All right. So tell you what. We won't talk about the real king, queen, born as shit. Real king drama going on. That's a million times more interesting.
Yes.
So. Do you know what's going? Have you heard of anything about the king of the Zulu king who was recently crowned?
To be honest, and to be very fair and balanced, I did not know there was a Zulu king.
Well, there is, and so it's this, and so the new king of the Zulus was recently crowned. His name is Misuzulu Ka Zwelithini. So his father, the previous king. This is how the drama is going down. Here's the dilly and the sweets on this. So his father was the previous king who died. Now the previous king Zwelithini had 6 wives. Now the favorite wife, basically, you know, they called her the Great Wife. Her name was Queen Menfombi. I'm sorry.
We're butchering these names.
Yeah, so she was his third wife. She was the Great Wife, and she married him under the agreement that their son, should they have one, would become the next king, and that is the current king. Now, there's been a few factions that have come out since then. One is the firstborn son he's got a small coalition saying that since he's the firstborn son, chronologically, he should be king. Now, there's also, you know, the current king's uncles have sort of formed a coalition around the not favorite son, but one of his sons who they say had the closest relationship with the previous king. And also, the current king's half sisters have kind of gotten together and challenged, like, hey, we think that maybe the king's will was forged, because the previous king left in his will that he would make his Queen Menfombi the regent, so she was like ruling in situ until the new king was appointed, right?
Yes.
And then she died about 5 months after, and part of that, and what she did before she died was name the current king the next in line for the throne.
Okay.
So now the daughter, the sisters of the current king are saying, oh, we think our father's will may have been forged and didn't put the queen mother in charge.
Okay.
So this has way more political machinations than anything we've seen out of the British monarchy in hundreds of years.
Basically, British monarchy stuff is just really boring. Just waiting around for Camilla to die and Queen Elizabeth to die, and then Zulu is over here are actually doing something interesting, and no one's paying attention.
And it's not, and again, like you say, they don't have any political power, but they are huge.
They have a massive amount of money.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the king of the Zulus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so again, like much like the British monarchy, he doesn't have any hardcore political power, but he is very influential. And everyone pays attention to it, and he does get like a stipend from the government to the tune of about $5 million a year. So it's not nothing to be the king of the Zulus.
It's always good to be king.
Of course the
get 6 wives,
and of course the cultural ramifications, of course.
Yeah. And he had 6 wives.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, I don't know what the rules and stipulations are, but apparently, yep, the king of the Zulus has just been crowned, and there is some drama going on.
Yeah. Where's the crown show about this?
I don't know, but I know where there's a crown show about the other one that we were talking about.
Oh my god.
So, since we're talking about like the 5 degrees of Game of Thrones, guess who they got to play Prince Philip in the first season?
Who?
None other than Daemon Targaryen.
Oh.
And like he is spot on in this role.
Really?
Because okay, all these people, in the Crown, I don't know how 100% accurate it is, but you start to feel for people. But you also just want them to shut up because all they do is complain about how terrible their rich lives are.
Yeah.
And Philip is like prime example.
Really?
Yeah. So definitely, but like once again, Matt Smith like absolutely embodies this role.
Matt Smith is an amazing actor.
Right.
He was perfect in Morbius.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's the one who started the Gold Cloaks. Right?
He's the one that started the Gold Cloaks. He started a whole war in the Stepstones because he was bored.
Is that before or after the start of the show?
During.
During. Okay. Cool. Well, I guess we're gonna see that.
Yeah. War in the Stepstones. I'm really excited to see that. Imagine like the War in the Pacific, except medieval and dragons.
So yeah, I'm hoping that I can get to actually watching the show probably the second half of this month and get rolling on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have access to Amazon, just not HBO. So we get around to it when we get around to it.
Yeah, we're not clout chasers, despite the fact that we have a podcast where all we do is chase clout.
Yeah, we kind of just chase clout. That's pretty much all we do.
So one more thing I want to talk about with the monarchy, the queen just died. So what's your favorite portrayal of a English monarch or British monarch?
I've seen a lot of. Of course, I could always go with what is it? The prince from Blackadder.
Oh yeah. Oh god, I forget his name.
Yeah.
Was the one who it was the guy played by Brian Blessed?
Yeah. Funny as hell. But I think I would have to go with Edward the Third
From The King, right?
The King, played by Timothy Chalamet.
Played by the boy Timothy Chalamet.
Just this boyish body, just getting absolutely shreked.
But yeah, that was the thing I was like, seeing that there's like battle scenes and stuff, and Timothy Chalamet is kind of a slip of a boy, but so I was like, there's no way that he is actually. So it's Henry V.
Henry V.
Yeah, so the King, which is the movie on Netflix, it's not really historical per se. It's more of a retelling of Shakespeare's Henry V,
Yeah.
which is a little bit more dramatic. But anyway, but my big thing was like, he's the warrior king, and Timothy Chalamet is a slip of a boy. But more thing about it's like these guys should probably be more like wiry than buff.
Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah.
Even like the nobility, getting like the actual nutrients and resources is not really gonna happen.
Right. I saw this really cool documentary. This guy, so Richard III, the famous My Kingdom for a Horse king, who had he was purported to have a hunchback, so he had back scoliosis. This documentary, they basically found a guy in Britain who matched his age and physical descriptions completely, and then sort of trained him as a king for a few months. So basically trained him in armor and riding and weapons and stuff, and sort of to be sort of we're gonna recreate Richard III era. It was pretty cool actually. And they're like yeah, he was probably a wiry fighter. Yeah.
So I remember seeing that, and they were using modern saddles, and the guy they were using for Henry, or Edward.
Henry III.
Henry III was having a lot of trouble because it was because of his back.
Richard III, right?
Richard.
Yeah.
Richard III. Because of his back. He was having a lot of trouble. He couldn't really focus. It was starting to get dangerous. So they used like a worse saddle, like a medieval saddle. They're like, hey, let's try this out. We'll see if this works. And it worked perfectly for him. Just like the way it was because of his scoliosis. It was just perfect.
Right.
And he could ride better because of it.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So my favorite... Wait, why is that your favorite rendition of The King?
I really like the monologues. I really like the battle is not the best, It's not very historically accurate, but
the one-on-one fight scene is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I really like when the the French prince comes out to fight, and he's just in this full plate armor, and Timothy Chalamet's character is just in this more actual battle ready armor, and he's just all right, and he leans down, picks up a muddy sword, and and the French prince comes forward in his plate armor, he falls down, and there's this somber music playing over, and you're like, oh, this poor guy, this poor kid, he's gonna take pity on him, and Prince Edward just goes, fuck it, and then as a bunch of dudes just go over and start shanking him in his armor.
Oh god,
it's actually pretty sad, and it's I do like Edward, but damn.
Wait, you mean Richard?
Richard, no. Yeah. Edward the Fifth. Richard the Fifth. No,
it's Richard the Third.
Fuck. Whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
There's so many names.
Okay.
In history.
That's why I said okay. I got the royal family tree. I don't think it goes back that far. I think it's literally just the modern ones. But study it, and we're gonna go from there. Okay.
I'm not gonna do any of that.
I refuse to do homework on this.
I refuse to learn anything.
Okay. So. Yep. So let's take a look here. But one major thing I'm thinking about. Okay. This is my take, which I'm hoping isn't 100% political. The Queen has been a fixture of our modern consciousness and pop culture for the last 70 years.
Yeah.
There's not a movie, video game, thing that references England that doesn't have something to do with the Queen, and she's basically imagine having a president that but is your country's mascot for 70 years.
Yeah.
And everything we've grown up with has referenced the Queen of England.
But the thing is when I think about this is I'm not when I think of the Queen of England for 70 years, I'm not thinking video games. I'm thinking of India.
I'm thinking of more like Monty Python.
Oh my god.
That's more of where I'm at.
You know, Mahatma Gandhi, the Red Baron,
Yeah.
the fish skit.
Yeah. So I don't know. It blows my mind. So
Yeah.
I don't want to. I guess we don't want to get super political, but it still is it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
It's a big deal no matter where you stand on
And
the monarchy and its effects.
Prince Charles is none too popular
Yeah.
at all.
So we'll see.
We're gonna see if like we have a complete abolishment of the monarchy. We never know.
Yeah. I think that really comes down to, does the prime minister want to?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. You know, I mean, they get a lot of money from the government, and with not getting political, not gonna do it. Anyway, we're talking about a lot of drama.
Okay, let's
Talking about a lot of drama.
All right, you know what? Let's get it. Let's just lean into it. Let's lean into that drama.
You know,
bring the drama.
I don't usually like Hollywood drama. Hollywood drama and me don't mix. I don't watch TMZ. Who cares who's having drama with anything?
But this drama
This
has been so memeable.
This
you can't
is-
ignore it.
amazing. I'm not even going for the memes. I'm going for just like the factor. You know, so like Apocalypse Now was an amazing movie, but Heart of Darkness just like behind the scenes is worth it, you know? And I think this is what's happening with Don't Worry, Darling. It's because the director, Olivia Wilde, that is not Olivia Wilde
not
at all.
Olivia
That is
Wilde.
even Olivia Wilde.
And there's Olivia
There's
Wilde.
Olivia Wilde. So, oh my God, it's like it's one of these things where you just keep pulling it back and back and back, and it's awesome. So, Olivia Wilde set up this movie, Don't Worry, Darling, which is a kind of a
It's a psychological thriller, right?
psychological sci-fi thriller.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, so first and foremost, we have Florence Pugh and
Florence Pugh.
and Shia LaBeouf as leading roles. Florence is the main character.
Which
She's
I have her up as a Black Widow right now because
I don't know why you did that.
it's just the movie I remember her most from.
Fine. Not even Midsummer.
Oh, it would have been better to have her from The Outlaw King because she was actually in that movie with Chris Pine as well.
Chris Pine. So basically, this is what happens. She has this relationship with Jason Sudeikis that is on the rocks, kind of. It's whether or not they break up before or after the movie or during, doesn't really know, but they have 2 kids together.
Right.
Keep that in mind. So this is the timeline of happenings. Olivia Wilde starts production, and they start shooting with Shia LaBeouf, Florence Pugh, and Shia LaBeouf leaves the set. Olivia Wilde says, first and foremost, she fired Shia the Beef, for being too whatever on set.
For being a cannibal who lives in the woods.
Exactly. One thing is that there's a lot of intimate scenes in this movie, and Olivia Wilde apparently didn't get an intimacy coordinator.
Yeah,
which is a big deal.
Yeah, those that's relatively new in Hollywood, but it's much more of a big deal, and definitely I think has it's leads to a much safer, more cohesive set.
Yes. So and then along with that, Shia LaBeouf is fired. Along with that, throughout this entire drama, whenever something gets brought about this drama that I'm going to go into, Olivia Wilde goes, "I fired Shia LaBeouf for being a twat on set." To the point where Shia LaBeouf releases emails and text messages and voicemails from Olivia Wilde proving that Shia LaBeouf quit the production on his own accord, and Olivia Wilde actually begged him to come back.
Okay.
Which is just like that little garnish of drama. That's a little James. That's a little taste.
That's just some taste. That's just some pettiness. That's just some regular Hollywood pettiness.
That's just a pettiness going on. Who does she get to replace Shia LaBeouf?
Chris Pine? Oh no, wait.
No.
She goes in one direction.
She goes in one direction, not 5, 1. She goes for her boy toy with the biggest fucking collar I've ever seen in my life. I'm looking at this photo for like the first time. Harry Styles.
Yeah,
what is he wearing?
His whole thing is about being very style, fashion forward, and very avant-garde.
Yes.
So I'm not 100% surprised at that, but you're right. I just zeroed in on that for the first time.
Yeah, it's like origami. That's what it reminds me of. So when this relationship starts, people aren't really sure, maybe before or after, but she gets a very intimate with him on set. Like, and she's directing this motherfucker. Like this whole movie.
She stars in this movie too, right?
Yes, a little bit, minor role, but she's directing it too.
Yeah.
To the point where it's becoming a distraction on set, and she's like intimate with this guy. Well, even when Jason Sudeikis is like there dropping off their kids, and she's like doing this stuff. To the point apparently where Lawrence Pugh had to like step in as director for her because she's like becoming unprofessional.
Tell me she at least got a credit for that.
Anyway, the whole thing is done. Okay,
yeah.
The movie's finally done.
Right.
The first film like release of it, where she's showing it to a public audience,
like a film festival or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Lawrence Olivia Wilde is on stage, taking the address and everything. She's served papers about the custody of their children.
Yeah, I remember that.
Directly.
Oh, that's what that was for.
That's what it was for. Yes, Jason. Well, first of all, people are blaming Jason Sudeikis, but he doesn't have control over when and how the papers are being delivered.
Right.
And of course, the whole thing with Shia LaBeouf and his information is coming out as well. Continuing.
Okay. This was like a month or two ago, right?
Apparently, it's been released a little bit. It has yet to be confirmed or denied. Allegedly alleged. Harry Styles got paid 3 times as much as Florence did, and she is
she's an established actress.
She is a doll and a national treasure.
She has actual like stage, film, and television credits to her name, and she's an established, well-known, incredible actor.
Yes.
She has a strong acting background. Like, yeah, okay,
and a bit of a directing background as well.
Apparently, yeah. So, yeah. But a lot of people point to was like, oh, she's one of these acting school. Like, basically, she had a lot of people get a little salty about it because she's one of these people who were, she's mega successful, but on her way she had a lot of support and a lot of like family money or something she came from.
Yeah.
Or if she came from like a very established acting school. That's neither here nor there. The fact of the your opinion on that is neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is she is an established, well-known actress who has put the work in, basically. Yes, same with Chris Pine.
And so obviously Florence is an amazing actor, and apparently Harry put in a Twilight kind of performance, Pinocchio wooden.
Wow,
it's like a board, to the point where reviewers are like, yeah, this is not good. Florence doesn't even really talk about the movie in like interviews and stuff or anything. She doesn't really talk about it. Neither does Chris Pine, who's in this as well. And he is noticeably in like the film festivals in Florence and all these other places, or Venice, sorry.
Yeah.
Venice. Not really interested in any of this.
Yeah.
He's very doesn't really want to be there. Harry Styles is giving very odd rambling answers.
Yeah, the meme of the week has been Chris Pine sitting at like a panel as Harry Styles sort of, like you say, rambles out his answer, and he's there just not having any of it at all. And like this whole it doesn't seem, when I list it out, it doesn't seem like this is a lot of like drama or something, but as far as the film industry is concerned, this is like massive. Olivia Wilde's unprofessionality, everybody's just not happy with the set, the whole thing with Shia, the beef, Jason Sudeikis maybe taking her kids. Plus, there's like 4 or 5 big names tied to this. Not to mention the fact that like all the producers and all the Okay, so hopefully, I'm assuming that everyone who worked on the film was paid. But like if this film takes a loss, then
I'm gonna get into that.
Yeah, especially nowadays where like the industry hasn't 100% recovered or found its footing after COVID. Like we're still kind of at the point where filmmakers are trying to find a direction to go, in this world of like, it's either massive blockbusters or nothing. And they're trying to get people to come back to the theaters. Yeah.
So from what it seems like, especially with Chris Pine, who's known to be kind of a fairly down-to-earth actor, easygoing, and Florence Pugh is also like that. To see their just stressed out justness of it all. It seems like on set it was horrible.
Yeah.
You'd hope it was a good movie.
Yeah.
I think it worst answer reviewers could ever say. It's fine.
It-
Literally, they said like there's a lot of things that's good about. There's some things that are good about it. There's some things that are bad about it. But
Yeah.
it just doesn't do anything with its concepts.
Right.
It's just like a nothing burger. And like the worst thing that a movie could do is be bland, and I think that's what they got.
Yeah, well, it's like, you know, the thing is, I see a lot of reviews for movies that'll be like, the critics praise, like, you know, in this case it would be, you know, critics praise Chris Pine and Florence Pugh's performances, but criticize everything else.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, okay, we expect that, we expect a good performance from, you know, those actors, and you know, it's good that they put it forward, but it's like that then like literally nothing else about the movie works.
Yes.
You're not gonna go see it.
One of the things that stood out with me is that some of the reviewers are like, yeah, there are whole plot holes and plot points that go nowhere, and then
Right.
nothing's answered. Like, which is fine, but when your movie is about getting those answers and you don't do it, and they know like just the writing just wasn't there, so they
Right.
just stopped with certain points because they needed to fill time. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and or like, oh god, like, you know how good an actor would have to be for them to be like, the rest of the movie was terrible, but you gotta go see Florence Pugh or Chris Pine. Like, okay, like name a movie where like the actor was like the big draw for that movie. I mean, like,
I usually,
to
to be fair, I do usually do like a lot of movies that I see.
okay, so like, well, like in my formative years, the big one was The Dark Knight.
Yes.
Where it's like, you gotta go see this movie for Heath Ledger's performance. But the thing is, the rest of the movie is a good movie.
It's a good movie. It's brought together by Heath Ledger's
Right,
performance.
but
I think
you
what
have
you're
to-
describing is like an actual, like, not even a good movie. It's like a bad movie, but this actor or actress is just going absolutely ham in it and just like.
Right. Okay, all right. Can you think of that example? Can you think of a movie that was like terrible, but that one performance was so good you had to go see it?
Who's the actor that does who plays the werewolf professor in Harry Potter?
Oh geez, I forget his name. Tell me about the movie while I bring this up.
The Island of Dr. Monroe.
The Highland of Dr. Moreau. Yeah, with Val Kilmer, right?
Yeah, with Val Kilmer. The British actor I'm talking about, Dr. Monroe. Yeah, the 1977.
Or 1977 or 1996. It's David Thewlis.
David Thewlis puts in an amazing performance. I really liked him in that.
I mean, but you watch The Island of Dr. Moreau because, like Apocalypse Now or like Don't Worry, My Darling, that's one of those movies you watch because there was so much drama going on behind the scenes.
Literally, people were like, they were in the middle of like the jungle.
And the original director, Richard Stanley, has a nervous breakdown.
Runs into the woods and becomes an extra randomly. And like at a certain point, like halfway through production, they just straight up ran out of money and they just continued.
Right.
And of course, Marlon Brando was like the worst.
But he was like, so first of all, Marlon Brando, I think, like at that point had a reputation of being like kind of checked out as an actor.
Yeah.
Because you know he was getting older. I think he was having health problems. But apparently, I was in an interview. I think it was with Richard Stanley. Like at that time, like he owned an island, and right around that time, a hurricane had just gone through and like damaged like his property and stuff.
Yeah.
So he was like, he's got other stuff going on in his mind. So
Well,
that compounded it.
Val Kilmer also was like going through like a bunch of stuff, like a divorce and a bunch of other things.
Right.
Too. But Marlon Brando hated Val Kilmer
Oh man.
to the point where like he would like Marlon Brando would eat like cabbage so he would get like bad farts when he would be in the same like scene with Val Kilmer.
That's some gangster shit.
Yeah, it's just so he could do that. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
And you know the scene where he's like has like the tin thing on his head?
Yeah.
That was just an ice bucket he picked up and he just put it on his head and said, "Make this a turban." And then they shot the scene because it's Marlon Brando.
Yeah, he was Hollywood royalty at that point. Yeah.
So they didn't have to deal with anything like that on set, but I would rather deal with like a Marlon Brando than your director, like, I don't even know, trying to be lovey-dovey with one of your lead actors.
Would you rather have your director be lovey-dovey with your lead actor, not get anything done and bring the drama, or have a nervous breakdown and run off into the jungle?
Oh, the second one's more fun. Way more fun. And then I get to come back and be an extra in my own movie.
So, Like I can just imagine us working on that set, like getting the camera, and then the director just like screams and shoots off, and like, are we still getting paid?
And then a new director comes in, he's just like directing the extras, and he's like, that one looks weirdly familiar.
Without missing a beat, new director walks up, sits in the chair. It's like, okay, from number one.
From number one, first of all, you guys are doing great. Yeah, so this drama, apparently we've only hit the tip of the iceberg, because of course, people that work on the sets and like the lighting and like the lighting and costumes and everything, they're the people that know everything intimately.
Right.
And obviously, and Chris Pine and Florence Pugh have been very good so far. They haven't really talked about it, but woof.
When they do,
it's gonna be amazing. But also, like, obviously Jason Sudeikis, it's like, is Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
So people already love him for that. Right. And it's just really weird.
Yeah, well, whatever's going on between Olivia and Jason, like, that's their business. But when it's when it informs like what's going on set, and like it's that's when it starts to become weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, drama, McDramason in Dramaville.
Jeez, for trying not to be super dramatic or political, we like got into the drama and the politics.
Yeah, we got right into the nitty gritty.
Well,
yeah.
Well, we touched on it. I thought I was gonna talk about the Queen and be like, the Queen died, but you're like ready to rock.
No. I was ready to go.
You're ready to like take a swan dive through the window at Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, I am very anti-monarchist because I'm not brainwashed by monarchist propaganda.
How dare you, good sir, talk about the Queen that way?
I've never seen the Queen in my life.
So yeah, that's okay. We got a bit of a brotherly spat going on here about the Queen.
They set me down and I watched a little bit of Downton Abbey, and if it's anything like The Crown, I just don't give a fuck. It's so boring.
But here's the thing about Downton Abbey: they don't just show what the hoity-toity rich people are doing; they show what the normal people are doing.
And all I can think is, oh my god, these people are putting up with so much, and these people I don't care.
Well, you know what? The butler's like, waiting on these rich people hand and foot, looks directly at the camera, beats retail.
Oh man.
Okay.
But you know what doesn't beat retail?
Well, I don't know, Jared. What doesn't beat retail?
Or does beat retail?
No. Yeah, what does beat retail?
What does beat retail?
Yeah.
It definitely beats retail.
Oh yeah.
I've done retail before. It beats it.
Yep. I've done retail before too, but
Big Nerd Coffee Company.
Oh, that so beats retail.
The royal flavor that comes with Big Nerd Coffee Company, and that cold brew or that hot stew comes right to you.
They don't make stew.
They don't make stew.
They make coffee.
I was trying to think of something that rhymed with brew.
Yeah.
Stew.
You.
Goo. No, that goo doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a good. This is why I'm not a rapper.
I'm gonna get you.
I can't do. I do the thesaurus.
I'm gonna get you a rhyming dictionary.
Yes, but Big Nerd Coffee Company has a lot of great brews coming this fall, and a lot of other events too. I'm really excited for. I can't wait for a good pumpkin or a good stroll.
I haven't had. Okay, I skipped pumpkin flavor last year, so I think I'm about due. I'm gonna try to get back into it again.
Yeah, but they have some real specialty flavors like dark chocolate slashers. Just
yeah, and Big Nerd Coffee Company, they love the Halloween theme, so we definitely watch out for that.
I mean, if your name is Big Nerd Coffee Company, how can you not love it?
That's right.
And also, if you're starting to get into D&D like I am, they also offer the player's guides in store for purchase. So go in, grab a coffee, buy a book, sit down, and figure out what your next character is. Remember, at Big Nerd Coffee Company, quality's always an at 20, where you can always get good coffee. What rhymes with 20?
Well, I don't know. Just make it on a D&D. Have a cup of coffee, get a +1 inspiration. There you go. All right.
Your caffeine intake is always +2. A perfect blend. Every time.
All right, we're gonna workshop this.
Yeah.
Big Nerd's never gonna ask us never to mention them again.
No, it's like you guys need to write it down.
Okay.
There's no sorcery when it comes to flavor. There's no warlocking of your taste buds.
I'd say we're done.
We have to delete this episode.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you, Big Nerd Coffee Company, for sponsoring us. We will be most likely changing our next couple of weeks. We'll be changing our streams to a different time. Life's been crazy.
Yes.
It's going to be crazy for about the next month. But
there are going to be a few Fridays or even a few weeks we may take off. We will keep you abreast of everything because, unfortunately, though we love doing this, we are busier than usual this fall.
That's right. It's been crazy. But
Woof.
thank you guys so much for following along and watching us. We will be keeping you up to date on what the new developments are and when we will be streaming. So thank you so much for watching. This has been Jimmy.